This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Stalled COVID vaccination concerns, says health officials. Jamaica is reporting a significant decline in the take-up of COVID-19 jabs and a very slow increase in full vaccination trends that have triggered a concern for health officials, with the country well shy of its end of March 67% target. According to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Besisa McKenzie, only 25% of the population, or 670,177 people, are fully vaccinated. With an additional 4% in need of a second dose for full vaccination, the country has projected a best-case scenario right now of 29% compliance. Only 28,793 booster doses have been administered, Besisa McKenzie disclosed during a press briefing Thursday. The CMO said that St. Thomas and Portland are the parishes with the lowest per capita take-up. St. Catherine, one of the largest parishes, is third in vaccination compliance. It means that if we have an increase in the number of cases, St. Catherine will be at a real threat because of the density of the population and the very low level of vaccine take-up, the CMO said. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton said vaccination take-up in Jamaica continues to be a challenge. It is concerning because the take-up has only gotten slower as persons perceive that the risk no longer exists or does not exist in a significant way as it did earlier. It remains overwhelmingly convincing that vaccination saves lives. People who are hospitalized and who have died are the ones who did not take the opportunity to get vaccinated, he said. 90% of Jamaicans who have died from COVID-19 were unvaccinated, while 1.2% were fully covered. The remaining 0.8% were partially vaccinated. COVID-19 is still a threat. Even though the numbers are low, and we are happy about that, people still die from COVID each day, and there's still the vulnerability that those who have not been vaccinated will suffer from the virus, Tufton added. Meanwhile, Director of Family Health Services in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Melody Ennis, said 42 deaths post-vaccination have been reported, the majority of which are people 78 years and older with underlying conditions. 11 of the cases have been closed, while the others remain under investigation. Ennis said the closed cases were not associated with the COVID-19 vaccine. St. Anne man dies in house fire. The charred remains of 51-year-old Richard Riley were found on Wednesday after a fire engulfed his two-bedroom house in Windsor, St. Anne's Bay. Residents raised an alarm about a fire at his residence about 10:30 p.m. The remains of Mr. Riley were found during cooling down operations. Investigators are probing the cause of the fire. William Knibb student on murder rap returns to court in May. Attorney at law Marissa Dalrymple Philibert says her client, the 16-year-old accused of fatally stabbing his classmate during a dispute over a guard ring at William Knibb High School in Trelawney, will return to court in May. It was an uneventful first appearance on Friday when the teenager arrived at the courthouse. Clad in a white shirt and blue pants, he was quickly whisked into the rear entrance of the building by police officers. There were shockwaves across the country on March 21 when news broke that 16-year-old Kamal Hall, a grade 10 student at the William Knibb Memorial High School, was stabbed to death by one of his peers during the lunch break. It is alleged that the two boys had an altercation over the ring, which belonged to another student, when things turned deadly. Audit to be conducted on use of metal detectors in schools. Beginning in Monday, March 28, the Ministry of Education and Youth will be conducting a full audit of the extent to which metal detectors are being used in public schools. Portfolio Minister Favour Williams says this will form part of the ministry's response to reduce the incidence of violence among students by detecting and confiscating implements such as knives and scissors, which have figured in altercations, several of them fatal. She was speaking during a semi-virtual press conference on school safety and security on Friday, March 25. The announcement comes in the wake of violent altercations occurring at several urban and rural schools since the start of the year, resulting in fatalities in 2 instances. Williams said the ministry's records show that 36 schools were selected to benefit from the installation of walk-through metal detectors, of which 27 were put in place prior to the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. The minister pointed out, however, that the undertaking was interrupted by the pandemic. Williams advised that since the full resumption of face-to-face classes, the ministry's Safety and Security in Schools unit has re-engaged the services of a provider to complete the installations. She said the unit also provided handheld metal detectors to all public high schools, adding that as far as the ministry is aware, they are in pretty good working condition. We still have some in our inventory, and these will be made available to replace any defective device as the need arises, she informed. In this regard, the ministry said the audit of the metal detectors, which is expected to be carried out during the course of next week, is intended to identify any gaps relating to the provision and/or utilization of these devices. We are directing our schools to use these daily as a preventative measure. To the extent that our schools are able to take away a knife or a pair of scissors or other implements from students, it could save a life, she emphasized. Williams said the ministry has also asked school administrators to refer students from whom these implements are taken for counseling. We know that many of our students are coming from homes that are broken and toxic. Many of our students are suffering from trauma from adults in the home. These are adults who should be protecting them, but instead they are causing them mental harm. So we are saying to our schools, it's not enough to simply take away the implements. We must follow up with some counseling as well, she added, while acknowledging that the use of metal detectors will help to thwart the extent to which students bring dangerous implements to school with the intention to harm. Williams said, we also know that this is just the beginning. Once the students exit through the gates, violent altercations can erupt at any place, anytime. So we have to depend on our school leaders and administrators, our teachers, to be more vigilant in monitoring them, she urged. Williams said security cameras have also been useful in the process, noting that several schools installing these have reported reductions in altercations among students. She advised that a technology provider wrote to the ministry offering to assist one of the schools where students clashed earlier this year by installing 2 CCTV cameras and providing handheld metal detectors. I want to say thank you to that provider, and we want to encourage others to donate as well, the minister added. Williams informed that there are approximately 930 guidance counselors and 130 deans of discipline currently serving the public school system. I will admit that these numbers are not enough relative to the number of students we have. However, we have to utilize the ones we currently have until we are able to add more within the context of our budget, she said. 2 illegal guns seized in Granville operation. 2 illegal firearms, including a high-powered rifle, were seized on Friday during a pre-dawn operation in Granville, St. James. The operation was carried out by the Joint Anti-Gang Task Force and the St. James Police. An M16 rifle with a magazine containing 30 rounds of ammunition and a Glock pistol with 4 9mm rounds of ammunition were found. Police gang cracked. 4 more cops allegedly in criminal organization arrested. Police investigators have cracked a major criminal gang and arrested 4 more cops said to be members of the organization. Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of crime, Fitz Bailey, says that the constables are among 8 members of the force who have been identified as part of the Ranco gang based in Clarendon. Bailey said the 4 of the cops were arrested this morning in a coordinated operation involving members of the Clarendon Police Division and the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Division. A 5th cop fled the island some time ago. According to Bailey, 3 other accused cops are already in custody. They include Constable Tafari Taylor, said to be the leader of the gang. Bailey said a total of 27 gangsters have been identified. Disruption of CAC phone lines and internet services. The Consumer Affairs Commission wishes to advise the public of the disruption of its phone lines, which has impacted its electronic management systems and other internet services. While the technicians are working to repair the system to restore communication, individuals are being encouraged to leave messages at 876-619-4222-30. All queries will be answered once the issue has been resolved. The management and staff at the CAC apologized for any inconvenience caused and thanked the public for their understanding and cooperation at this time. For further information and updates, visit the CAC's website at www.cac.gov.jm. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.